Welcome to Nutty Buddy Entertainment.
Okay, welcome back to Nutty Buddy Entertainment, and it is exactly 2:40 in the morning. 2:40 in the morning, and with me I have Luke. Luke, how's it going, man?
It's going great, Ryan. It's rather early. It is not late, as it's to the point where we are approaching dawn.
That's right.
Let's do this.
It's
Um,
almost time to just get up and stay up the entire night, right?
It's accurate, 100%.
100.
I'm doing great, Ryan. I just saw a fantastic movie, and it was all kinds of amazing.
Yeah.
To put it properly, as the movie itself quoted.
Yeah, so we just got back from watching No Way Home opening night here in the United States. And I just figured, since I went with Luke, we would just give our instant reaction, maybe talk about some of the stuff that happened and what they're setting up for the future. So Luke, what's your instant thought regarding Spider-Man No Way Home?
I have so many thoughts, Ryan. I could try to make it shorter because I feel like that is better.
Yeah, maybe one thought.
My instant thought is that I've been marveled out for quite some time. I've had so much Marvel that I've just kind of been done. And this has reinvigorated my interest in Marvel because, as you know, Spider-Man has always been my favorite superhero. He's the best one. I will fight you if you disagree with that. No, you're allowed to have a different opinion, but you're wrong. Anyways, I thought it was great. I thought it could not have possibly been a better execution for the idea that they used. I thought they executed it perfectly, and it is, of course, instant reaction. I personally feel like it's my favorite Marvel movie. Now, that's not fair because it's using nostalgia, but I don't care. Nostalgia along with it, it's my favorite Marvel. It was more enjoyable to watch than any movie I can remember watching, like in recent memory.
Yeah, it was really good. I would agree with most, not being tired out by Marvel or that Spider-Man's the greatest superhero. I disagree on those 2 points. But I will agree with you that this was one of the better movies I've seen in a long time. Some people have said it's the best movie they've ever seen. I don't know if I'd go that far, but it was really awesome. What moment in the movie stuck out to you the most? Like, which one was like, yeah, this is amazing already? Like, what would you point to that you like the most?
That is an impossibly hard question to answer.
Well, you got to answer it though. That's what the audience wants to hear.
Yes, the audience is very, very much anticipating this. I would have to say that when it started out, right where the last one ended, that was, I was expecting that, but everything from the trailer and the clips, because I can't, I guess I don't go in 100% blind. I watch the trailers. I watch whatever clip gets released online. I don't look for spoilers or anything like that when it comes to movies I'm really looking forward to. If it's a movie I'm not sure I want to watch, I'll be like, I need to know if the ending is good, or I don't want to see it. This, I didn't know anything going into it. When it showed me everything from the trailer or the clips in like the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie, I had a really good feeling about it because I then realized I have no idea what's going to happen next. And as soon as they brought in Dr. Octopus from the trailer that we saw, and then proceeded to bring in more villains that I was not expecting to see, I knew we were in for something good.
Yeah.
I knew at that moment it was going to be really good.
Yeah, I agree. The point you made about, that's one thing I was keeping an eye on, is how much of this did I get to see in the trailers. And I feel like 90% of the trailers that we saw was about the first 20 to 30 minutes of the movie. So they were all out of the way. So like you said, we knew like we were going to get that fight scene on the construction zone. We knew there were some things we were going to still get, but for the majority of the part, most of the trailer was already done. So it did leave a lot of excitement throughout the movie. I think my favorite moment, I don't know, man. You're right. It is impossible. But
one moment is tough. But
yeah,
what you got?
Yeah, my favorite moment. I don't know. I gotta say when Andrew Garfield showed up right away, the Spider-Man, and because then you knew the other one was coming. You knew Toby was coming, but that was just like, and you knew that wasn't the MCU Peter Parker. You knew it was a different one. So that was probably my favorite part, because everything that we anticipated about 3 Spider-Mans on one screen, you knew it was going to be realized in that moment. You always knew, but there was always like a little bit of doubt, I guess, until you see it. But yeah, that was probably my favorite moment.
Yeah, that's legit. If I had to pick an actual favorite, it would probably be when they were asking each other about, they were having that conversation as they were waiting for the bad guys to show up on the Statue of Liberty. That was probably my favorite moment right now, at least, sticking out, just because it was a callback to everything, and they're asking each other about the web shooters and all that. Like, it's just, that was pretty great. A thing that you would never think of, like that. I mean, before this movie came, that's not something you would ever have thought. Hey, I wonder what it'd be like to see the 3 different iterations of live-action Spider-Man sitting there and talking to each other about their respective Spider-Man experiences. That's just not something you would envision ever happening until this movie was made. So that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and then the other one would be Andrew Garfield Spider-Man saving Mary Jane and kind of getting his redemption for, what happened to Gwen, Stacy dying.
You mean Michelle Jones?
Michelle Jones, yeah. Not Watson, yeah. That was great. Who was your favorite villain? Who did you like the most as far as the villains go in this movie?
It's Green Goblin, hands down.
Oh yeah, same answer. Yeah.
It almost is frustrating how good he was in this, based off of what we've had for villains. Again, I'm picky. I know. I've been marveled out. I compare all of my villains to like Killmonger, and I'm like, okay, how good is it compared to Killmonger? Not great. Okay, so the villain kind of sucked. We talk about this. Ryan thinks that Thanos was a great villain, and
I will stand by that. We're not talking about that though.
I know.
Otherwise, we'll talk about that for 2 hours.
I'm just saying that the Green Goblin in this movie, in my opinion, was a more effective villain than Thanos was.
Oh, stop!
Because there's emotion behind it, and Thanos, there's no emotion or feeling, and therefore it's hard to get.
The emotion is nostalgia, though. But
but he's sitting there laughing when he's getting punched in the face and laughing, and then when he does his very evil thing, where to the point that your Tom Holland version of Spider-Man, who's basically been viewed as a kid this whole time, now has a very real anger and he wants to legitimately kill this dude. I'm just saying, Thanos.
Oh, don't.
I'm saying Thanos is an excellent villain from the standpoint that it's this overarching big thing, but it never. I'm just saying there was no villain that reached that emotional point that like Killmonger did. Like there's a closeness, a personal evil to it that Thanos is just evil with his envisions and things like that. But I mean, it's like this big bad guy you got to beat. What makes him so good here with the Green Goblin thing is how personal it is and how creepy he is. Like, it's just, he's a really good bad guy. And I miss having a really good bad guy. He's awesome.
Yeah, he did remind me a little bit of the Joker in The Dark Knight. He did. Like he wanted Peter to kill him, kind of like the Joker wants Batman to kill him. There was that other, like you said, when he was getting punched in the face and laughing. Like that's such a Joker move. But yeah, I like the Green Goblin. I thought he was the best villain in this movie. I'm not gonna bring Thanos into it because
Sorry, that's just me talking to you.
yeah, no, I know.
You can cut all that out if you don't.
No,
It has
we're
nothing to
gonna
do with
keep
this movie.
no,
Nothing to do
we're
with
gonna
it,
get we're gonna keep it all in there.
but that is an overarching. I guess my take on it. You're asking me what my initial thoughts are. It didn't feel like a Marvel movie, and I think that's what I think maybe that's more what I'm getting at with it. Where there's a formula for a Marvel movie, right? Like
Yeah.
Shang-Chi just followed the formula. Ant-Man follows the formula. Not that they're not bad movies. It's just you know what you're gonna get. You start at point A, you introduce this character, here's what the plot you're going to have to overcome. There's going to be a little bit of a conflict and then we resolve it and it's funny along the way. Not that this wasn't funny along the way, but it didn't feel like just another part of the Marvel verse. It felt like its own unique thing that obviously with the nostalgia aspect, but even just away from that, the Tom Holland Peter Parker story in this movie felt different. And it felt new from the standpoint of, wow, I really want to see 3 more movies of this guy, which is not how I have felt about any of the other ones. Maybe I'm recently, any of the other ones. Maybe it's just because I love Spider-Man, but I didn't really get that feeling with Homecoming or Far From Home. That I was like, man, I'm really excited for more Tom Holland, Peter Parker movie. This movie felt a lot different.
Yeah, it was.
Standpoint.
Yeah,
He grew up in this movie. And it was great.
I thought it was his best performance as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. A lot of real things happen in the movie to him that helped him, like you mentioned, grow up. The fact that just I'll probably put it in the title, but I hope you guys know, like, this is a spoiler discussion and it's a little late for that, but I'm gonna let everybody know right now we're spoiling
put
stuff.
Disclaimer in the front of that for sure.
Yeah. But like with his Aunt May dying, like that was a very strong scene. Really like that scene. Me and Luke talked that this is not, don't ever go into a Spider-Man movie and say with great power comes great responsibility, because you know you will die in the movie.
Dead.
Right.
Just you've just literally written your death sentence down on the page. Like it's going to guaranteed. Don't say that.
Yeah. And then obviously there's the well, let me ask you, you got what did you I know what the answer is because we talked about it, but I wanted you to share your thoughts with why is it that you're really looking forward to Spider-Man moving forward? I mean, we'll come back to the movie, but I liked how you kind of brought this up when we were talking about it after the movie. So what are you looking forward to about the Spider-Man moving forward?
So the previous Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland in them are good movies. They really are. There's a lot of stuff. I liked them a lot. I think we both liked them a lot. And people generally like the movies, right? They're good.
Yeah.
But if there was one thing that was something I wish was a little bit different, and we had already seen it on screen before, so you know they're trying to differentiate this version of Spider-Man from the other ones that we've seen on screen, right?
Yeah.
So he's Iron Man. His backstory is nothing like the ones that we've seen before, and it's created a version of Iron Man here that's already been on the Avengers, and he's a kid in high school. He's got all this experience. Everyone knows Spider-Man's this guy who helped save the world. It's got all this. It's just not the Spider-Man story we know. And he didn't have that weight to his decisions and things that's how we know Spider-Man for being the guy who makes jokes as he's beating guys up and he's doing the bad guys up. He's not too serious, but then there's supposed to be a weight to him. He has this gravity that it's my job to protect people. It's my job to do these things. That was missing from the first 2 Spider-Man movies in this Tom Holland iteration of it. This movie has now set up the Spider-Man that we love. He's by himself. He handmade suit. It's not Iron Man 2.0 going on. This is him. He now knows that there is an inherent risk to people being in his life that he cares about, and it's his job to make sure that he doesn't put them in harm's way. None of that was conveyed in the previous movies. Now that that's there, I am so hyped to see 3 more movies of this, because I feel like we've now gotten to the point where this is clearly the best version of Spider-Man. That we're going to get live action going forward. I mean, now I want to see a Venom story with this version of him. Before it was like, well, he's too young, and he doesn't have this, he doesn't have this. There's not. Now that's clean slate. This is awesome. So I don't know if that answers the question exactly how you wanted me to say it, but we talked a bunch. But
no, that was perfect. That's exactly what I wanted you to talk about, because now nobody knows who Spider-Man is. It's going to reset the entire MCU. None of the Avengers know who he is. Doctor Strange don't know who Peter Parker is anymore. So it's now going to be about Spider-Man. It's going to be about Peter Parker moving forward. And it'll be interesting because even like the ending, which we talked about a little bit, Ned and MJ don't know who he is. And that is the decision that he sort of made to let them continue to not know who he is, his identity, because he doesn't want them to be affected by his decisions. He doesn't want them to be hurt. So, so that's going to be kind of cool. That's going to be kind of cool moving forward. We'll predict what we'll see in the next 3 movies towards the end of the podcast. What was your favorite like callback moment? Do you have a favorite callback moment?
Oh my goodness, there were so many of them. Where do you start? But the favorite one, the big one, is that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was able to save MJ.
Yeah, that's a good callback moment.
That's the big one, probably, where he started tearing up when she was okay, because that was such a big deal. But the little one-liners about, I guess it wasn't a one-liner, because then they went to proceed to Andrew cracked Tobey Maguire's back. But that was pretty great. Still having back problems from, I think that was Spider-Man 2. The Norman Osborn saying he's somewhat of a scientist himself.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh my goodness. Like, there's so many. How about you? What do you got? Anything else? Or did I just take them all?
No, you had some really good ones. I like the moment on the roof where they kind of like call back to losing the people that they love, like when he thought that they didn't understand what it was like to lose someone as meaningful to him as that Aunt May was to our Peter Parker, the MCU Peter Parker. And then they were able to like call back, like Uncle Ben died, it was my fault, and then Gwen Stacy died and it was my fault. So it's kind of like that callback to what's it called, to their lowest moments of not being responsible, right? With that great responsibility that comes with being Spider-Man. So that was a really good callback, just like them kind of connecting with one another through the loss of somebody that they cared about deeply.
For sure. And again, that all plays into this is the right version of Spider-Man now.
Yeah.
That scenes like that, and how Tobey Maguire's version that he's playing is like he's the elder spokesman, but he's the mature, wise one who can see. He saw when Peter needed to hear that from him. He saw when he was getting those same emotions when his Uncle Ben died, towards the guy responsible, or at least in his mind, the guy responsible for it.
Yep.
And that anger, he sensed that he was the one to say those things. I thought that Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man kind of stole the show a little bit from the standpoint of he popped in first. He had a lot of the quips and the jokes and all that, and Tobey Maguire's character was more of the wise one, not the one making the quips and that. But I liked how they played off each other.
Yeah,
that was neat.
Yeah, I really like that. I also like the last battle, kind of the part where Green Goblin and Tom Holland Spider-Man was fighting, right? It kind of reminded me of the fight between Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Green Goblin in the first Spider-Man, Raimi's version where you felt every punch, like it was all like in your face, like you know what I'm talking about, when like he almost killed him. And then the just like um Andrew Garfield had his redemption moment, I felt like if you gave Tobey Maguire a redemption moment, would have been him stepping in between Green Goblin and Peter to block him from stabbing Norman. Yeah. Where in the third Spider-Man, it was him going to get stabbed by Venom, and Green Goblin, which was Harry at the time, jumped in the way. So it kind of like reversed the role a little bit, but that was sort of like his redemption to help because Norman got killed by the glider in the first movie too, and Peter didn't stop the glider from killing him. In this movie, he stopped the glider from killing him, so to speak. So yeah, and then it kind of saved Tom Holland's Peter Parker from doing something that he might have regretted later.
For sure would have regretted later. Yeah, that's, and as you're saying these things, I'm just thinking I've liked every single aspect of this movie when they like when they're talking to each other and their teamwork is not going very well. And so he goes Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, and Andrew Garfield's like Spider-Man 3. Yeah, I know. he's talking about how he didn't get to go to outer space or fight aliens. He just got to fight a guy in a rhino suit. Like I guess what I liked about that is there's the internet's a place where people just go on there and argue. So they go and complain about this version of Spider-Man is weak and this version is better and this version is dumb because of this and this version's best, and then they get on screen and they all just love each other and they're supportive of each their time. It's just, I think that's great. Who cares which version is, you can poke fun at the fact that your favorite one didn't go to. It's not that serious. They're all awesome.
Right.
Clearly, it's more of a celebration of the fact that we've gotten to see cool versions of Spider-Man now, in different ways rather than a competition to see who's best. Who cares? They're all awesome.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that they kind of pick on some of the story arcs, or some of the story or characters in the versions of the movies, like the different movies, like Electro, they kind of picked on the comb over and the gap teeth, and they mentioned that. I'm trying to think of some other examples. I know there was more like reference to some of the stuff that they did in the other movies. Maybe the fact that Lizard looks like a dinosaur, they keep mentioning that. I forgive me, it is 3:00 in the morning.
It is 3 a.m.
Yeah, so
I
like
the
that.
movie was full of callbacks. There was callbacks the entire time. I mean, Dr. Octopus saying, the power of the sun in the palm
of my hand.
And the fact, like, that's a call. I mean, that's a in your face one, obviously, but the fact that they had Tobey Maguire finish it, and he looks at him. And by the way, I know we focused on Green Goblin, but he was excellent as well.
Oh yeah, he just didn't stay a villain. That's
but that fit because he was never a villain. It was just the inhibitor chip broke, and so they fixed it, and he turned right back into the guy he was supposed to be. So that was super cool as well. I love this movie. I love this movie, Ryan. I have. It's not fair because it's just reliving my childhood, teenage years, and made me feel like a kid again. And that's
okay.
Why
yeah. So. Yeah, no, it was a great movie. So, but is there anything that you kind of like, or was all of it like just amazing to you?
I can tell you, I was expecting to be with some of the Zendaya parts, because generally in these movies I find the relationship aspects kind of shoehorned in, just a little bit too much. I guess, like, I really liked Emma Stone in the first Amazing Spider-Man, but then in the second one she became like the reason he was going to quit. And it was just too much. It was too much. I was expecting it to go that way, and that didn't. I really liked pretty much every moment that Zendaya was in this movie, which I guess I probably should have because she's great. But so was Emma Stone, and I guess I was annoyed from the story aspect, maybe more of that one. If there's anything I didn't like, it was that there was just a little bit too much at first viewing, because I was waiting probably for Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield hopefully to show up. I was 100% certain they were going to be in it. There was not a part of me that thought they weren't. because I feel like the reviews would not have been as great. if they
Correct,
were-
correct.
so there would have been. I knew they were going to be in it, but I was waiting for them. And so when the villains were sitting there talking in Happy's apartment, it
Yeah.
was one too many scenes, like 3 minutes too long, maybe, of Electro. I know you're going to be bad.
Yeah.
We're hinting towards him turning bad. I know he's going bad. We don't have to. Let's get to Spider-Man, please. That was at one point I thought that, but it's not. It was so good that I didn't even. I'm nitpicking at that point. It was great. I loved every minute of this movie.
Well, yeah, no, I get it. Like I would agree with you on that a little bit. It was just kind of like, I know they had originally thought this movie was going to be like 2 hours and 50 minutes, and then they cut some and they cut some and they got it down to 2:28, I believe. So I'm kind of interested. I wonder if there'll be like an extended cut or like deleted scenes that'll come out eventually. I'm kind of interested to see what they did cut. My only like nitpick, because I think like a movie this great, that's all you're doing when you have concerns, is like just the Ned storyline. I just didn't, I told you on the way. I just don't, him automatically knowing how to make portals and stuff. I just don't. It was kind of a convenient plot thing that has never been hinted at until this movie. So that's the only thing that I didn't care for. And they kind of foreshadowed him maybe taking Doctor Strange's role eventually. Who knows? Because he had the cape on too, like the cape caught him, but not like caught him, but like around the neck, like he was flying with it for a moment. That would be the only thing that I was just like, I don't really need that. And the other thing is just a small gripe, is I didn't care that Andrew's entrance was sort of the same as Toby's. Like they both came through the portal. I would have rather they had like two separate entrances. But
that's a fair nitpick. For in my opinion, you already know that Tobey Maguire is then coming in, so any longer waiting is just annoying. That's me. That's just me. Like, okay, so they're clearly both coming. Let's get it. Let's go. Like, I want them on screen as long as possible. They haven't been on. Tobey Maguire hasn't been Spider-Man for how many years? Don't make me wait longer once he pops in. They didn't. So to me, it worked. But I understand that. My nitpick would be, I wanted to see Kirsten Dunst. That would be a nitpick. I was hoping she'd be in there, but like, they didn't bring any of the friends or other close people to them over. It was villains and Spider-Man. That was all it was. So it's not like that was a glaring omission. In fact, it would probably create more where it's like, well, if that person comes over too, then we should also have this person. So I can see why it wasn't in the movie.
Yeah.
But I still would have liked to have seen her. That would have been cool.
So the other thing I want to bring up is that Daredevil, Charlie Cox was in there as Matt Murdock, as the lawyer. So that was pretty sweet to see him. And he was early on in the movie, like didn't even take 10 minutes before we saw him, like 10-15 minutes, which was super cool. It would have been cool to see him don the costume, the Daredevil, like just put it on, but I understand why they didn't, because the movie isn't focused on Daredevil, so but that was super cool to see him right away too.
Yeah, the crowd enjoyed it. By the way, seeing that many, or being in the theater with that many people that are that jacked for Spider-Man and for every aspect of the movie, like I was fantastic. That was great. Crowd was cheering. It was fantastic.
Yeah, especially when the Spider-Man came in. So Daredevil got a cheer, and I think both Spider-Man got a cheer. I don't know if the villains.
There were reactions to like Norman's the lines. There were people. The crowd was audibly cheering when certain things were said.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
Which is great. It was great.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Like, oh, you have to see it again. Yeah, of course I am. It's a great movie. I'm going to see it tomorrow.
Well, tonight actually, you're going back at 6.
I'm going to see it. I'm going to see it later tonight.
Yeah,
I'll probably see it another time. Maybe not this weekend, but I'm going to see it again.
I'll let you know when we go again if you want to come with. Because I know Megan's going to want to see it in theaters. So, let's see. Anything else about the movie you want to talk about?
I have so many things, Ryan. I could talk about this for forever. I really, 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 really liked that they reset Spider-Man as like the go-to Marvel property now. Because we've talked about this, being someone who's marveled out, I don't really care about who the new Avengers are going to be. I don't think they'll be as good as Iron Man and Captain America and Thor and all of them. I
Right.
don't expect that to be as interesting. I'm not really looking forward to that. I didn't want Spider-Man to be just another one of the new Avengers. It's not, that doesn't sound it doesn't interest me. Would I see it? Sure, but I'm not like really looking forward to any of that. I'm now really looking forward to where they left Spider-Man. I'm like, I want to see the next movie right now. Like I'm hyped for that. So that's super cool. I did not think that's what this movie was going to do.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming. I know they showed us in the trailer. They said, well, he doesn't want, he wants people to forget that he's the Peter Parker or Spider-Man. I didn't think that they were going to give us a story of him maturing into the version that we got now, where he now understands just how important it is for him to keep people safe and to, respect what May wanted him to, he kind of aligned his viewpoint. Like, yeah, this is my job.
Correct.
To care about people. Just because it's not a direct correlation to my life doesn't mean it's not my responsibility to try. Because it's the cheese, great power comes great responsibility, but it's not something that he understood. Now that he does, it's the version of Spider-Man that we've always kind of loved. It's what we want. And I don't know, maybe I already said that, but the fact that he is going to be the centerpiece. I saw Kevin Feige, how do you pronounce his name?
Kevin Feige. Yep.
He made that comment over a couple days ago at the premiere that Tom Holland is the center of the MCU in his opinion now. And I was like, okay, whatever. But no, that he was not lying. They set that up for that to be for him to be, and for Spider-Man to be the big deal. And as someone who thinks Spider-Man's the best superhero, I am hyped.
Yeah. So that was one of the things I liked. I wanted to mention, like, they kept on saying, because that's what we do. Like, whether it's, they use that phrase a lot. And it kind of like the whole story was a well-told story. Like, as far as Peter recognizing by sending them back to their universes, they would die. There was a way we could help them. And then he does it. And obviously there were obstacles in the way, but that was kind of cool. And then at the end, they're like, that's what we do. Right before they hugged at the end, that was kind of cool. It was a great story too. I love the story. It made sense. It fit all the characters well. Doctor Strange was good too. We didn't even mention him. He was good in the movie as well.
That's where I was going, actually, when you're saying that. Like, I really liked how Doctor Strange had it all figured out, right? No, this is how it works. They have to go back. Their fate is that they die trying to fight Spider-Man. And then at the end, he's going to push the button, and they're like, no, don't do it. The plan is working. And he's like, I never would have. He was shocked. He was like, wow, this is a kid. He's not supposed to be this good at, he wasn't supposed to be able to change this. It was not going to work that way. Their fate is already written. And here he was, making a difference, because that's what Spider-Man does.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, that's not, there's no way he's going to make that work. Yeah. He's Spider-Man. That's what he like. It was excellent as you're saying, for what the movie was, fan service, extra, the Spider-Man, everything you could possibly want from your childhood growing up, and all those callbacks and all this stuff. It wouldn't work if it wasn't such a good story with all of those things implemented into it. And I think that's what is separating it to me from just being a movie where, you get to relive what you saw growing up. They took all of that and turned it into what our current version of Spider-Man needed to see, needed to experience, needed to go through, which, again, to me, makes it the best Marvel movie there's been so far. It's the most enjoyable viewing experience. It's a really good story.
Yeah.
It has everything you could possibly want in it. I personally think it's the best Marvel movie that's been made. But that's, again, this is a 100% biased take. So.
Yeah, I will have to sit down. I want to watch it one more time before I make that claim. I will say that, it's on the level to me of Infinity War and Endgame for sure. Like, I'm not going to say it's better, but I will say it's on that level but I've seen those movies, probably 15 times each. So I'll just probably watch Spider-Man a couple, one more time, and I'll have to give my take again. I'll have to like really sit down and do a list, but yeah, I couldn't agree more with, and then the costume at the end was so good. It was so good. It was such a good costume. It was, personally, like, I like the Iron Man story. Like I didn't like, a lot of people don't, but I kind of liked what they did. I liked that they did something different, but the fact that now we're going to get away from that, like get back to who, like you mentioned, who Spider-Man was, that's going to be great. And then we get an after credit scene, right? We get that scene where we see that a piece of Venom is left behind. So that was good too, because we know that's setting up the Black Spider-Man, the Venom Spider-Man, and then eventually the Venom. So real quick, Luke, maybe we can, okay, anything else about the movie? I know there's so much we could talk about, but anything that's important that you want to get? The web conversation was amazing. I know we mentioned that already, but the fact that they were both like trying to figure out how he makes the web inside him, and he's like, well, it's just like breathing, like it just happens. And then he's like, well, can you shoot it out anywhere else? It was funny.
It was, every moment they were on screen together, the three of them were on screen together, was a childhood dream come true.
Yeah,
it was so good.
And that's why I kind of want to go again without the shock factor, because I feel like we could get so wrapped up in the recency bias of, seeing, what we've always wanted to see, which is a live action Spider-Verse, but I remember going to theater and seeing like the Guardians of Galaxy meeting Thor and how cool that was, or like Doctor Strange and Iron Man meeting one another, and you're like, oh, that's super cool, and then you go down the line. So I want to watch it again without the shock value and see if I feel the same way afterwards. I'm sure I will. I'm just trying to be fair is all. Now the other one I wanted to say is when they were it was really cool to see them working in the labs together, like being the nerds in the lab, and then Ned yelling for Peter, and all three of them are like, yes. And then he's like, no, I mean Peter Parker, and like, yeah, we're all Peter Parker. That was pretty good too. I like that moment.
I feel like you're going to ask what's coming next, which
that's
kind of, it's because you mentioned that already, but I feel like that was where you're going right after this.
Yeah, so we know there's, real quick, we know there's three, he signed on for 3 more movies, so 3 more Spider-Man movies, I'm sorry. What do you think? Yeah, where are they going to go? What are the 3 movies you'd like to see, or direction you'd like to see Marvel take?
I loved the end of this movie so much, where
it reset. He now has an understanding with MJ and Ned that his actions have a direct consequence on the people he loves. They can have a direct consequence on that. Him being Spider-Man literally turned their life, because of what happened, it turned their lives upside down, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when at the end of the movie, when he decides, I'm not going to tell MJ or Ned who I am, because they got into MIT like they wanted to. They are happy, and hopefully, I mean, I would rather them just be friends. It was kind of implying that there might be something there. I would rather not see that again. We already saw that with James Franco, and in the first ones where there's kind of a triangle.
Right.
Correct. I don't need a triangle. But I mean, it's fine if they do, but whatever. But it's set up. We have Venom clearly going to happen, and now that this is the Spider-Man we have, this is the right time to tell the Venom story. There was I read online quick, just before we started this, I read online quick that the characters that popped in when you had mentioned Kraven the Hunter was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So someone's put on there that Black Cat was in there.
Yes,
that could be interesting.
That would be a fun one.
That would be fun. Her story is pretty fun in the I think it's the DLC of the video game that's on PS4 and PS5.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fun story to play through. She's a fun character. So that would be cool. But honestly, I just want to see this now Tom Holland version of Spider-Man go forward. I don't really care. I don't really care who I now trust that this is it's what I want to see. I didn't have this feeling of excitement going forward after the last two Spider-Man movies. And now it's like, I don't care where you go with it. Give me Vulture, give me whatever. I don't throw it on there. I just Scorpion. Give me any of it. I'm just excited for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw some predictions. I think it'll be obviously a Venom. Probably, I would like to see a true Sinister Six, because this wasn't really. It was close to Sinister Six, but it wasn't quite there. And then maybe like Kraven the Hunter needs to be in there, like, but yeah, I'm not sure. I wonder though, because like it seems to me now that because there's a Norman Osborn from a different universe and a Dr. Ock, and Peter has not learned any of these names. I mean, is he going to meet like their variants that are in the MCU, or are they just no longer usable characters moving forward in MCU, and they'll have to use different characters? You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be interesting to find out.
It's a good question. You had mentioned, I'm not going to take credit for this because you mentioned this. I mean, Feast is a big part of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's there quite a bit. The wizard's being held in the Feast truck. We played the video game. Martin Lee runs Feast in the video game. That would be another bad guy that they could pop in, even if he's not. Like, they could throw him in the next movie and have him be a good guy, and then put him like in the second one as someone that needs to be stopped or something like that. They can go wherever they want with it, and I am excited. I want to watch the next one tomorrow after I see it again.
Yeah, right.
I want to watch the new trilogy start.
I'm hyped for it right now. But,
yeah, it was such a good movie. So let's see. Anything else to add, or do you what? Go ahead.
No, I feel like I've probably said all of it.
I don't know.
I don't know if we're gonna. Do we grade these things, Ryan?
Yeah, just give me a out of 10. What do you think? 10.
9.5.
Oh yeah.
9.5, 9.75. I mean, I don't know what a perfect 10 would be, but I mean, I had a couple things that I would have liked to have seen, right? So if you gave me a little bit more of what I had told you beforehand, I didn't know what they were going to do because of multiverse things. So I thought, what if they brought back Robert Downey Jr. To like talk to Peter Parker? It was so much better this way, where they set it up for the future. I didn't know that's what they were going to do with the movie. Anyways, we were resetting Spider-Man. In that case, I'm glad they didn't do that. But I mean, I had a couple gripes, right? So it's not like it wasn't 100% flawless, but it was as close to a 10 as I could. Then I can think of any recent movie, and especially a superhero movie. This is the most fun I've had watching a superhero movie, and the most enjoyable in a long time. It was more enjoyable than, say, Endgame or Infinity War, where there's this soul-crushing situation taking place, where this is more of a coming into yourself story, where it's more of like you have a rooting interest, and it's not like, oh my goodness, it's all pain and misery. There wasn't, I don't know. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Well, yeah,
Could you tell, Ryan? Could you tell?
No, yeah, you're stoked. I'm with you at like 9.5, probably a little better. I do want to watch it one more time, and then like just kind of, now that you kind of know what to expect, move forward from there. I really don't know, like the one thing that hangs me up to be like, I think as time goes on, I'm not gonna like it more, is the Ned thing. I don't know why it bothers me. I just can't.
I noticed that bothers you quite a bit. I think maybe because I am not a Doctor Strange aficionado, and so to me it's like, okay, so he accidentally opened a couple portals and he doesn't know how to close them. All right. Okay.
Well, remember though, like we
tough. Do they have to get trained on how to open a portal? Like, is that like a big rigorous process where it's like?
Well, it took Doctor Strange a while. I know he didn't have like the use of his hands, but if it took Doctor Strange without the use of his hands a while, you think it still takes someone who has the use of his hands. Normally, it would still take him a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that he just basically picked up the ring and he's like, "Oh yeah, I can do it." That bothers me.
Just a counterpoint. Not that just a counter, but
all he did was have a ring say what he wanted and make a circular motion, in the same sense that all Peter Parker did in the original Spider-Man to make the web come out was mess with his hand a little bit, and poof, there goes web. Like, I don't know what is all involved, but I do know that because I have not even seen Doctor Strange to this day. I don't know how much work he put into figuring that stuff out, but it looks like you need to use your hands to make it work. So if he didn't have use of his hands, it makes sense to me that he wasn't able to do it.
Yeah, you'll have to watch
know.
Doctor Strange and then get back to me on that, like how you really feel about it. But it's just, well, and the other thing was, like the rumor of him becoming Hobgoblin. I was kind of like sold on the idea that he'll eventually become Hobgoblin, and it again, the movie sort of foreshadowed him more as like the next Doctor Strange.
I guess I didn't get that feeling. I thought the cape was. Is he not controlling the cape? Does the cape have a mind of its own? I thought he was just helping. I thought he was just helping him not die.
No. Like the cape had the mind of the own, but like like these things they foreshadow, and the fact that he can use the same powers of Doctor Strange, and then the cape went around his neck. You know what I'm saying? Like that to me, all is kind of like foreshadowing what might become, and they might not do it. Maybe it was just like this thing, but I don't know. It's this thing that just, but it didn't. I don't want to harp on it because it's not going to ruin the movie for me. It just was one little thing that I didn't like about the movie that I wish they could have found a different way to bring the Spider-Man together than using Ned to open portals randomly. I guess that's part of it.
I kind of thought that was, to me, it made sense because he doesn't know what he's doing, and he accidentally used it, and they foreshadowed it that his I mean, it was a joke, but they foreshadowed it in the film place, that they had that ability. His family did. It was. Does it make a lot of sense? No. Does it make more sense than Ray not having any training and yet being able to take down? It makes way more sense than that. So if we're using Marvel standards, or Disney standards, my bad, Disney standards, because Disney bought Marvel and Star Wars. By Disney standards, this was not a big deal at all.
Well, that's the thing, though. It bothers me in Star Wars too. Like that's sort of like I would compare Doctor Strange's powers in a sense like using the Force. You really got to be trained, and it takes time to use it. It doesn't just happen because you're naturally gifted. You got to learn how to use it. But again, I'm not going to harp on it. I think it was a good movie. I'm looking forward to seeing it again, and I can't wait. And I'll see it soon. You'll see it later today, Friday.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, man. Maybe that's all we'll talk about today.
Good deal.
Sounds good. Well, what's that?
Anytime you want to hear more about how much I like this movie, if you haven't had enough of it for the last hour, I will tell you how much I enjoyed this movie anytime, Ryan. Anytime.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me. For all you who are listening, subscribe, rate, review, and follow me at Instagram. It's 3:30 in the morning, guys.
It is 3:30 in the morning.
Follow me on Instagram at nuttybuddy_entertainment, and we'll talk to all you guys later. See you, Luke.
Go Clippers.